Good afternoon. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Give us just a little bit to allow a few others to join us.
Sure.
Morning, everybody. We'll give it just a couple of more minutes. We have a few others that were still trying to join. We're gonna go ahead and get started just for the sake of time. We want everyone to get back to their amazing busy day on a Monday morning. So let me just go ahead and kick off. I'm Erica Antoinette Slayton. I'm the Executive Director for the Georgia Association of Black County Officials. And we're excited to welcome you today to our Media Lunch and Learn. We have special guests, Global Media Connections. We'll introduce them in just a short while, but we want to make sure that you're right at the right meeting. So we're going to go ahead and kick off. Our president, he apologizes he's not able to join right now in the moment. Our president is Commissioner Marvin Arrington Jr., but he does send his well wishes. Gonna go ahead and just review our quick agenda for today. We're gonna just continue with some introductions. We're going to do a Black media roll call. We'll go right into our session today on media training, and then we'll just wrap up right after that. I apologize, our president, like I shared, is not able to be here, but he sends his greetings to each of you. And what we would like to do at this time is to go ahead and at least acknowledge our board for GABCO, which includes our president, Marvin Arrington Jr., our vice president, Toya Tucker, our treasurer, Demont Davis, our secretary, Lisa Cupid, our parliamentarian, Mo Ivory, and then our sergeant at arms, Brenda Lynn Bailey. Just getting into a Black media roll call. With keeping with our theme for today in terms of getting more clarity and information around media, we wanted to spotlight a few pioneers and trailblazers, including Ms. Ida B. Wells, Ethel Payne, Alice Dunnigan, Marva Cooks, Hazel Garland, Nancy Hicks Maynard. We also want to bring acknowledgement to local Metro Atlanta news and journalists here in Metro Atlanta, highlighting a few that have passed away, including Jovita Moore, Amanda Davis, as well as Gail O'Neill. But we also want to spotlight and call out the names that are listed here on the screen. We also want to bring attention to our board member, Commissioner Mo Ivory, who is also has experience in the radio industry, as well as we want to highlight a number of other media talent. We also want to pay homage to the rest of Georgia in terms of the Black media roll call. So we have coastal Georgia, East Georgia, Middle Georgia, West and Southwest Georgia, as well as Athens, Northeast Georgia. Okay. Wanted to give you all a quick highlight on our guests who have been gracious to come and talk to us today. It's none other than Global Media Connection. Global Media Connection is a media training and content strategy firm that blends newsroom experience with brand storytelling and AI-enabled workflows. Their core promise is that they take stories from the TV screens to digital streams. Their leadership and origin, they're founded in 2022 by Sonia Tucker, ex-CNN, creator of CNN Fellowship Bootcamp, co-founder of CNN Academy. Her team includes senior practitioners such as Jim LeMay, former CNN deputy managing editor, and others spanning broadcast, digital, and branding. Service stack includes storytelling, production, content acquisition, rights management, content partnerships, digital and social marketing, on-air talent development, podcast production, executive coaching, including crisis communication, newsroom training, university GMC boot camps, and their signature focus is media training and content strategy with an explicit offer to integrate AI into workflows. Ms. Sonia Tucker is a senior communication strategist and stakeholder engagement leader. Sonia has coordinated executive level appearances, complex external briefings, and high visibility media interfaces. She specializes in building durable newsroom relationships, crafting concise pitches with strong visual assets, and operationalizing spokesperson readiness for live segments. Mr. Jim LeMay, former CNN editor, Jim brings decades of editorial experience, building pitches, shaping daily rundowns, and coaching on-air talent. His perspective centers on audience value, data integrity, and memorable messaging. He equips public officials to earn green lights through sharp angles, quotable delivery, and producer-friendly assets. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Ms. Sonia Tucker and Mr. Jim LeMay.
Thank you, Erica, for the introduction. Greatly appreciate it. It's an honor to be here today with you and your entire team and constituents here. So as Erica has mentioned, I was with CNN for over 25 years, worked with the founder of CNN, Ted Turner, leading media training initiatives and the fellowship program, and recently had launched the CNN Academy. And my partner in crime is Mr. Jim LeMay, and I'll let him do a quick intro, and we can just jump into our presentation today.
Yeah, thrilled to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I'm happy to do whatever we can as an organization to help you make your brand stronger, to help protect reputations that you work very hard for by getting a better understanding of how messaging in the media, whether it's social media, whether it's digital, whether it's radio or traditional, how those can be more partnerships, better relationship building, so that both sides do their jobs but benefit and do no harm. I think that's part of what we want you to gain from this. We're going to start with, I'll share in a minute, start with a video that I want to share with you that I'll set up for you in a minute. It basically says, normally public officials at any level tend to think of the media as a negative, right? They're the enemy. They're going to do us harm. They're only here when things happen that are bad. And then there's some truth to that. There are still people behind this, so they're capable of making mistakes. But I think what I wanted to impress upon you and give you the tools and the methods is to say, that kind of thinking has to really stop in a public official, because ultimately the media, with its influence and its power to influence, can be a tremendous tool for you, and more importantly, a good partnership to consider. Yes, they still have a job to do, which we'll see in a minute, which is to hold powerful accountable, make sure that people are being served properly by those who serve them. And I think we'd understand that and believe that. But all that being said, once we go through this brief introduction, I think you'll come away with, and I hope you'll come away with, some ideas and some tools that will help you better understand what it means for the media to be a relationship that you want to maintain, not one that you want to keep your distance from. So let me share my deck if I can. Here we are.
And while Jim pulls up his deck, I just want to say if anybody has any questions, please, point them out to Erica, and we want this to be a Q&A as we go along with our presentation.
So everybody can see that? Yes?
Yes.
Great. So this just sort of kicks it off, understanding local media, and this is going to be a focus on local and regional media going forward. Not so much national, but the applications still apply. But I think most of us can understand the AJC, the local TV stations and radio, maybe we had a journal among many publications. This gives you sort of a behind the scenes look, a better understanding of where they are in the modern world today and some of the challenges they have and how you can take that information and better forge a relationship that can benefit your constituents, yourself, and the people you represent. When it doesn't work, when we avoid those relationships, when we sort of keep ourselves at a distance from those media individuals, reporters, and others that present themselves to a larger public, things can go bad pretty quickly. I'll be honest. I'm going to share a video with you now that kind of illustrates that in a dramatic way, but I think in an important way.
A whistleblower 2 investigation.
It is hard to say anything with certainty about the finances in the city of Braswell. The clerk was helpful, but she says she can't vouch for anything as far back as 2 years. However, our whistleblowers do, and they have records to back up their questions. Now, getting answers from the mayor and his father, that's another matter. We came in on Braswell Mountain Road. There isn't much to the town, a couple of hundred people, a city hall and police department, a couple of subdivisions, and there's city manager Alan Fennell. Who are you, sir?
Cut it off. Hell no, I don't want your stinking damn car. I told you cut that damn camera off, buddy.
Excuse me. Plus his son, Braswell Mayor Richard Fennell.
If you go to criticize, to get your stuff straight.
We came to Braswell because some of its residents came to us complaining that they get little for their city taxes. Their police department is part-time. This is the city park.
Hey, and then here's another 50.
But what got us really interested was what former city bookkeeper Exeter McClure uncovered in Braswell's records. Have you been able to find any justification?
No justification whatsoever.
Ms. McClure and her husband gave us several examples, like the mayor's purchase of a $281 baseball glove and a $197 bat with a city credit card.
We have no ball teams.
Do you have a rec league or anything?
No, sir. Don't sponsor anybody. Nothing.
No girls softball team?
No girls softball.
City council softball team?
Nothing.
In fact, as we discovered during our visit, there aren't enough people on the city council to field a team. But Mayor Fennell explained that he gave the equipment to a Little League team. There's no written record to support that. Then there was $1,600 to Sam's Club in Circuit City for a 42-inch flat-screen TV mounting bracket and fancy sound system. The receipt identified the purchaser as Braswell Country Palace, a bar owned by the mayor's father. But the mayor told the council the equipment was stolen from City Hall. No one has produced a police report of the theft.
I think somebody needs to explain, these purchases and why the taxpayers are footing the bill for things that has nothing to do with city business.
According to city bank statements, there were 8 cash withdrawals totaling nearly $2,000. One of those withdrawals was made at the Dark Horse Tavern in Atlanta, 48 miles from Braswell. I tried to question the mayor about that.
Yeah, that's a bull. Now you're lying now, buddy.
And then there's the electrical cable. We spotted it running right across Braswell Mountain Road from City Hall to a private building under construction and owned by city manager Alan Fennell. Our whistleblowers asked for records to establish that Mr. Fennell is actually repaying the city for the electricity. But to date, City Hall has given them no explanation. And Mr. Fennell?
Let me ask you a question.
You don't ask me nothing.
Well,
you don't ask
just
me.
wondering how it is you get electrical power for your private project.
Get that damn camera out of my face, and I mean for you. Yeah, you buddy. You better him watching, man, I'll break your neck.
Easy now.
It's really not even to me the amount of money. It's the principle to see that they're doing this, padding their pockets. That's just not right. That is just not right.
We made our request for documentation about some unexplained City of Brownsville checks 3 weeks ago tomorrow, but the city clerk has not provided us anything. And the McClures made their request, a formal open record request for several documents 18 days ago. Still no answers, no documents. But the McClures tell us they've already met with GBI agents who are beginning to ask their own questions. Go to WSBTV.com if you'd like to see more of our introduction to Brownsville City Manager, Alan Fennell. John?
The whistleblower to
Hang
investigate.
on. So I think we get the idea, obviously, right? I mean, it's a dramatic example of how basically bad governance can be uncovered. But I think one of the things that I want to unpack with you in this example that we saw, and it's pretty extreme, I get it, and amusing in some respects, is that the individuals who uncovered this originally went to those elected officials to look for answers and really were unsatisfied. So what happened is, at the end of the day, they turned to the media somewhat as a last resort. And then the media got engaged because of the fact that there was just no satisfaction, no answer to be had from the public officials in which they elected. That's the first big takeaway from this. For me, it's always been, we need to be responsive. And even when people are asking difficult questions, rather than just rejecting them, pushing it off and hoping it goes away, it's not likely to go away. Now, that being said, a lot of local journalists under a lot of strict deadlines and current resources are difficult. But they usually have a beat, and many of them have a city hall beat or a county beat. And in many cases in the Atlanta metro and the areas around the state, public safety, et cetera. So they're focused in on these issues pretty carefully, pretty narrowly as their beat. And then at the same time, they're providing material for TV, radio, online, social media, as well as many other platforms that might be associated with the brand WSB, WAGA, etc. That means when you're engaged with them, your responses need to be quick and to the point. They need to have what they need to have within a period of time that they can turn it for these multiple platforms. It's just how local newsrooms work at this stage of the game. It's not by choice, it's by current design. But what I learned with public officials is that I think that they're missing is they wait for the reporter to come to them, typically with something negative questions like what happened here or what happened there, versus we don't tend to reach out to the reporter first when there's good times to talk about things that they can report or make images about that are positive about your brand, your group, your organization, the people that you represented. My argument is don't call reporters when you want coverage. Engage them during calmer times. Do informal check-ins. Start building a relationship when things aren't going wrong, but when things are going right. This allows them to better understand you and your organization and the people you represent. So when something does happen, a calamity, they're not meeting you for the first time. That's probably one of the biggest takeaways is start building those bridges with reporters who have those beats that we saw previously. And you can pick and choose one or two or three that are significant to your area. And you can literally go to Google and look them up. One of the things I stress over and over again is don't go at this as if you're meeting a stranger. You need to do your time and research to know who that reporter is, what they're about. Take a look at some of the stories they've already produced. Get a sense of the kind of writing they use, etc. It's the same sort of research you do if you're going to hire someone or if someone was going to come and join your organization. You take another look online to see who they are and what they're about. That doesn't stop with the reporters. It's something that's critical, and that makes them less of the enemy and vice versa. It's really more about relationships, not just transactions. And I think that's the beginning of how we better protect our brands and image, both personally and professionally. But officials, keep in mind, this is the role of the media, and the role they take seriously are to be held accountable for the public. And when I say accountable, you saw it to the extreme there in Braswell, but in some lesser examples, are you governing in a way that you promised during your campaign? Are you attacking controversies and with solutions? They're going to come at you with tough questions, typically, just so you know, usually generated by viewers or consumers that have reached out to them, either online or even sometimes in person. Tough questions are not personal attacks. They're just a part of who we are and how we have a check and balance. we need to respect the role of the journalist, that they're not there just to be the antagonist. And many times, I'll stress again, many of the questions they're asking first started with the consumer reaching out to them saying, hey, I went to this meeting and I had a lot of questions. Can you help us get to the bottom of it? So I would encourage a collaboration rather than conflict. Don't stick around waiting for the conflict to occur when the reporter shows up. Now it feels like you're butting heads versus you've had a relationship in advance. You can pick up the phone, have a civil conversation, and often resolve problems much quicker. Avoid when you do that, when you do finally create a relationship, avoid jargon and a lot of technical terms when it comes to situations that are both positive or negative. Decide first what this decision means and its impact, very important word, its impact on the community. Start any conversation, especially a policy conversation or a conversation that's going to have positive or negative impacts on the constituency. Start with that impact and be totally transparent and trustworthy. You will get more credit for being transparent than anything else. When you try and dance around a topic and try and use word salad to get through it, at the end of the day, the consumer, the viewer, the people who, the reporter collecting that is going to be, I don't even know what she meant or he meant. It seems kind of bizarre. I need more clarity. Can that come with coaching? Yes. Sometimes that takes someone who does that for a living to better coach you to get that more precisely. But overall, do a little role playing. Make sure you're understanding some of the questions might come at you that you're not expecting. Try and be prepared for those that do. Provide fact sheets or visuals whenever a policy situation comes up. Make sure you've got material to give to a reporter, regardless of the platform, so that they have some visual to help them better understand what's going on. Being clear and being accessible and making it a point that you're accessible to those who cover your area is going to be important to create that relationship. Then be proactive, as I said before, not reactive. Proactive means just what it sounds like. Reach out and have a lunch and learn like you're doing now with reporters that cover your area. Invite them into where you work. Take them on a tour if you're working through and around a facility, not just an office. Make sure that they understand the issues that you're facing and how you're trying to resolve them. Bring them into those conversations and do it with breaking bread. Have a cup of coffee. The more you understand their pressures and the better they understand your efforts, the more you can come together to project a message, an accurate message, to the consumers you both represent. Keeping in mind, you both represent many of the same people in the same way. You're trying to get a message out. You're trying to make sure it is done respectfully and it's accurate. The reporter needs to understand how you are attempting to do that and how that value can be attached. It's really important. These behind the scenes looks and will help a lot for reporters to better understand what you're trying to accomplish, and more importantly, who you are as a person. I can't stress that enough. And then understand their constraints. When a reporter arrives at, let's just say we held a food event, a festival, or whatever it might be, it's an annual thing. Here comes that reporter. Typically, they may be by themselves without a photographer. It's just a reporter with their phone, look at that in a minute. And they're under a pretty tight deadline at the end of the day. They need to have a quick conversation with someone who can give them what information is necessary and important, compose that, put it together, and put it on multiple platforms. Be prepared for that. We've also talked about take some training to understand how that process works so that you can be more effective of getting the message out that you want. Let me explain why. I can't tell you the number of government officials I work with, local, state, regional, et cetera, that say, we had this really good interview with this reporter. It went really well, but she or he didn't use the stuff I really wanted them to use. Very common complaint. And I get it, right? You had a 3-minute conversation or a 10-minute or whatever it is, and they only did like a minute 10 or a minute 20's worth of material with only 1 or 2 sound bites. That's why you have to understand the process. That's exactly how it's going to be. It will never be the whole 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Many of you probably already know this. So you've got to be very precise. You've got to be very understanding of their deadlines and knowing what the right phraseology, what the right words are that will connect with what they're trying to accomplish, and they're more likely to use, which gets the message across. Kind of a big deal at the end of the day. But it's that training, that understanding both their needs and desires and how you can best get your message across. And then my big one is, and I believe in this, especially in bad news when there's a crisis, is practice transparency, right? Never, and I know none of you would shy away from bad news or a catastrophe that happened or chaos. But the really important part here is face it directly. Transparent communication builds credibility. Transparency and communication builds credibility. But avoid like, we're not going to talk to the media. That's kind of the worst thing you can do because that doesn't stop the problem from being explored or being, it gives them, in fact, it gives reporters a greater challenge in that respect. They're actually more interested because now they're going to work other ways to find that information that you aren't going to be a part of or control. And ultimately, they can be detrimental because you didn't engage. So engage immediately. And if you built these relationships in advance, like I've suggested, that's an easy thing to do. You can pick up the phone because you now have some knowledge of each other and you can say, hey, here's what's happened. Come on down, or here, let me give you some interviews or some quotes or information. I'm happy to address this now. But clarity and honesty always last longer than silence. If you're hoping to keep them from figuring it out or keep quiet, don't talk to them, that is going to hurt you in the short term and even in the long term. Numerous examples I can give you on that, but I think we all understand that concept won't work in today's world. But when you do, make sure return calls quickly. When you do get that cold call, as I call it, from a reporter with a subject you might not be familiar with, take a moment, find out what that's about. It's fine to say, I don't have an answer for you right now, but let me get back to you, but make that a short term, but you need to control the timing on that. You need to make sure that all of your on the record comments are clear that this is on the record. You need to have that kind of relationship established, right? Train your staff to respond accurately in a timely fashion. It's important because the more it lingers, the more that reporter tends to think we're trying to hide something. I'll just be blunt, right? So just, if you're not familiar with this, pick up the phone and say, first I've heard about it. Let me get back to you. Give me a couple of days if it's necessary, a few hours, whatever it might be. Make sure you put a time frame on that and hold yourself to that time frame. It's not just respectful, it's understanding there is something out there you need to address. If you need the time to get the information, make sure you're clear and you do that. That's perfectly appropriate. But the golden rules for really what the local media are this, and I want you to have this as a takeaway. When you do communicate, and there's some training that's important for this, be clear, use plain language, avoid jargon, technical jargons, the water seepage amount, people have no idea. It's clear, concise, to the point. Transparency builds credibility. I can't stress this piece enough. And it's transparency I call with pain. Sometimes it's painful for me to say, we made a mistake. It's painful for me to say, yep, one of our employees, defrauded us, and it's come to our attention, and we're going to address it immediately. It's painful to say those things, but it's important to say them because you're the leader, the audience and the consumer are looking for to clarify in pure honesty what happened, even when it's not good. But when it's not good, and we do this in our training, there are ways to address that. Yes, she defrauded our accounting department. When we made it aware, we took immediate action. It's what was the bad thing that happened? Be honest and transparent. And then what's the action you're going to take care of it? Often, that summarization I just gave you often is pretty much all you'll need to say about it until the actions are completed. But if you don't, you can see where that can end up. Being proactive, sharing updates regularly, not in crisis. The media is only going to show up at your door when things are happening that are wrong. That's on you. That's their job, but it's on you if you didn't take the chance to reach out to them in advance when there wasn't something bad happening, to give them a better understanding of what's your agenda, what's your policies, what is the thing you do that's helping the public that you serve. Be accessible, respond quickly. We talked about that. Be prepared. Anticipate questions and stay on message. That's a strategy session that needs to occur before you make any public announcements, even town hall meetings. You need to stay on message and you need to be prepared and anticipate with role playing questions you might get even from constituents as much as you get from reporters. Be community focused. Frame issues around public impact. That word impact, I can't stress enough. The impact on the community, if taxes go up or taxes go down, are the following, right? That term, when we've tested it, has high value to your constituents and who you serve, whether it's in your social media messaging, whether it's in the traditional media messaging. Obviously, be consistent, align the staff with the same communication values. Don't have your staff obviously saying one thing when you're saying another. That's a whole other strategy that needs to be explored. And if you've got staff that are not on the same page, a total other issues at work there that needs to be resolved immediately. The key for the consumer and the key for the reporter are pretty much the same. They may have difficult, complicated questions. They just want a clean and clear answer, period. It may not be the one that you like. It may be something that just is not going to sound good and not be positive. But if it's transparent and honest, you'll get credit for that, and you protect your reputation and your brand and the people you represent. Super, super, super important is that, if that's the one thing I could have you think. Just how to contact us real quick. And we're recording this, but I want to make sure that you had an opportunity to jot that down if you have interest in our working with you in any way. Again, we work with numerous state, federal, local government agencies and groups and individuals. So we're happy to help you do that going forward. This was just a bit of an introduction, just sort of a thumbnail of what I believe is an important relationship that all of us need to be aware of. Some of you have a little bit, I think, but now it's like there's a blueprint here that says I've got to lean into this and make it something positive. Any questions?
Thank you. And we'll take questions in the chat as well as you can raise your hand. And while we're waiting for some questions to come in, I have a couple just to pose for you, both Jim and Sonia. What are some common mistakes public officials make when engaging with the media? I know you spoke a lot about getting in front of the media and speaking with them before there's an emergency, but what are some common mistakes that you see?
The biggest common mistake I see is, well, it's a couple, but there's the big one. They don't know who the media is, so they don't know who they're talking to. It's like walking into a meeting and trying to present something and not know who you're presenting to. Not taking time to investigate who are these reporters. You got their name, you can look them up. You get a sense of kind of, okay, now I get a sense of who they are, the kind of reporting they do, and the style. Second biggest mistake is walking into an interview or anything without anticipating what's likely to be said. They just launch into, a statement and a diatribe without thinking, well, wait a minute, what's the really key important impact takeaway that is going to be asked of or is expected? That ill-prepared situation is more often than you think.
And if I may add to Jim's comment, we react to social media. We'll immediately just go out there and immediately post it and say such and such, and this is what's going on, without gathering the facts. So I think the tools of, having social media is great, but I think it depends on the situation and circumstances. We react very quickly and we're putting out comments without the facts.
Take a beat.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have a question coming in from Mr. Henry Mitchell III. Would you say that media, newspaper, radio, TV, etc., focus is to provide a good headline story versus the truth of the story?
Great question. The headline is usually written by someone else, FYI. Most reporters don't write them. They make a suggestion just to tell you the process. It actually goes to an editor who actually writes that or fashions that, right or wrong. And often they haven't had the full facts of that story, but their concept is the headline's got to get you to the story. And often that means the headline's a little more dramatic, a little more interesting to get you to the story. I don't agree with that technique, but that's the reality. So people scan the headline and go, oh, such and such is in controversy. And then they get to the article, it's really not what the headline said. But let me give you a technique we didn't discuss, but I will tell you because you brought it up. Anytime you read an article that engages your world, whatever your world represents, including yourself, that is inaccurate or incorrect, you should pick up the phone and call that reporter and have a conversation and say, you know what, you got your facts wrong. There's this, and this that's not real. These parts are not true. If you don't, you in essence have said everything there is okay. Mm-hmm. And if it's not, it is within every bit of your right, and I'd say your responsibility to have a respectful but straightforward call to say, here's what's wrong and here's why, and I'm asking for a correction, or at least for it to be rewritten and with the proper facts. Believe me, I know too many officials that I don't want to keep stirring the pot, but then you've basically said by not doing that, everything's accurate.
Thank you. Another question, advisory versus press release. What earns a faster producer response?
Neither.
Okay,
Press releases, if not done effectively and in the proper, what I'd say, the proper strategy and the proper location, kind of go, eh. Most press releases, when they arrive in newsrooms, both traditional newsrooms and others, have got to be written and constructed in a way that has high value, or it just kind of gets glanced and set to the side.
Yeah.
The platform you use to announce what's coming, so you're going to announce a new industry coming in, the platform you do that is also a strategy. So it's also where you place this information that needs to be done. In advisory, those two terms, press release and advisory, are sort of similar, if not identical. It's more like, I would argue, it's more like you want to do a social media announcement, and I'm using social media in a broader term, to let everyone know, including the media, these things are about to occur, or this event's about to happen, or we've just signed an agreement, or whatever. Social media, not to get too long-winded, is your one platform where you can control your message without someone else editing it. It's a whole strategy we can discuss, but it's an important one.
another question, how do we avoid jargon while still communicating policy detail?
The greatest strategy I can tell you is this. Think of whatever the policy detail is. What's the impact of the policy? I'll give you one for an example. They were going to raise parking rates in a particular city. The actual, you put the meter in. That was the biggest impact on people that, visit the city and come, and commerce and all that. What's the impact of that? That you've got to start with that impact, right? Before anything else, to get people to understand we're raising these meter rates because, and then you fill in the blank. And that's all done in plain language. There needs to be a link. Then you would add a link into that announcement where people can go and look the greater detail, if they choose to, on the kind of meter you're going to install, the technical issues. Your announcements, or your attempt to get people to manage or come out and cover this, needs to be pretty straightforward and clean spoken, with links to details as an advisor.
Got it. And we're looking for more questions to come into the chat. I don't see any hands raised, but I have a few other questions here, so I'm going to continue.
Sure.
How can officials manage crisis communication online without escalating misinformation?
Great question. And Sonia was right. We all have emotions. We all have sensitivities. We all have egos. The list goes on, and nobody's null and void of that, including public officials. You got to take a beat. You need to be able to not, first of all, I think we'd all agree, something done in the heat of anger or the heat of the emotion is not usually going to be a really good outcome. So take a breath, read it carefully, engage other people that you trust that can help you, advise you on how to respond. But do not do it too quickly. The quicker you respond to a negative post, the more likely it's not going to stop. It's going to escalate, and before you know, it's out of control. When you take a breath and step aside and get others who aren't emotionally attached to this, that you trust and understand, we do this a lot with, to be blunt, a lot with smaller cities and larger cities, then you're more able to adjust your thinking. You're more able to really craft something that is important, or not respond at all, which has not been off the table. In some cases, it's like, don't respond. It's not, this is crazy time. Just let it go.
Thank you. Commissioner Arrington dropped a message in the chat. So it sounds like the relationships of your PR team is more important than the actual press release or media advisory.
Correct.
Any follow-up to that, please?
There is, sir. Yes, sir. If I can have a relationship I've carved over time, one that's out of respect, one that's out of transparent understanding of each other's roles, and I've gotten to know that individual or individuals, and I can literally pick up the phone and say, hey, would love you guys to come down to fill in the blank, or I'd love to talk to you about fill in the blank. Far more impactful, because you've done your homework, you've done the research that says, if I get the AJC to come out, and WAGA and WSB and maybe a couple of other smaller papers, Marietta Journal, whatever that might be, I can pretty much have the impact I need. The message will be sent out in a way that I trust, because I've been building this relationship over time.
Thank you. Now, Jim, let me say, GABCO, we support, I want to say our membership is throughout the entire state of Georgia. So we have not only Metro Atlanta, but rural counties as well that we support. So here's a question for them. How can smaller municipalities or even nonprofits gain media coverage without a formal PR team?
It's a little more complicated. I'll be honest. Yes, I've worked in Savannah. I've worked in Valdosta. I've worked all over the state with different media groups and media organizations. Get to know some of them too. They're not as large and robust, obviously, as Metro Atlanta will be, but equally important. I mean, some of those smaller regional papers and publications online are really impactful. People do read them. Your constituents read them. So I would start with that group of people that I know that are within my community, right? For starters. But go back to your social media pages, whatever you choose to use at this stage, and we can help you in terms of the right strategies, can often be your megaphone. It can be the area where people learn about things that are happening in the community, things that are happening in the county, that maybe there's not a media there that only weekly publishes. I may not know. You have these platforms and outlets. If you use them effectively, they become the landing spot where people come to learn about what you're doing. And it's kind of cool and powerful at the same time because it's unfiltered at that point. You get to decide what's on there. You don't have somebody else recording you and then editing that.
And if I can add to what Jim is also saying is, I would separate your personal social handles from your professional. Keep it, since you have a separate messaging, what you do in your personal life is personal, but if you're representing your constituents, you're representing that county, have a separate council member X, Y, and Z, or things of that nature. Versus, like I have Global Media Connection as my Instagram, but then I have a personal Global Sonia Tucker for my family and friends. Try to keep it separate if possible.
Agreed.
Thank you. We have a follow-up question from Mr. Mitchell. Is it a good idea to respond to a social media post? You as a public official will never win.
If the post says you'll never win, oh, I'm sorry, say it again.
Well, Mr. Mitchell, please come off of mute for us and
Yeah, give me
us a little bit more clarity there.
Yeah.
Okay, no, you said it right though. It's just that when you post, on social media, by chance there's a post of some sort, good, bad, or indifferent, responding to that, especially if somebody is against it, then you'll find yourself going back and forth under the social media side of things, and you'll never win. So
that's correct. You're 100% correct. We're in an era now that we're all trying to get our arms around it. It keeps changing, by the way. AI is going to be its own issues, etc. And fake news. And when I say that, fake videos, not fake news in the way we're thinking of it is, it's people making up videos that are not real at all, but are trying to convey a message. The election coming up in here in 26 for the congressional, you're going to see a boatload of stuff that's being created by AI operators trying to convince you to vote one way or another. Often many of those are not real. They're called soft fakes and deep fakes. So to your point, yes, sir, social media is a bulletin board where I can hide myself and we are never going to agree and you're wasting your time.
Yeah. And that is something that we do offer as well, are the social media best practices around social media. It is something as we're navigating, right? AI is coming out of Pandora's
I want to
box.
stress it's a powerful platform if you use it properly. It can really be your bulletin board for policy discussions, for making sure that the public's staying informed when the media might be busy off doing something else. I just can't convince them to show up. I still have this other platform.
Yeah. We have time for 2 more questions. I see a few individuals. Okay. We have a message in the chat from Commissioner Aronson. We may have to bring you guys back for a social media lunch and learn next year. Sounds
Sure.
good. We have Dee Haney with us, Derek Holloway, Henry Mitchell, Marvin Aronson, Michael Price, Nate Robinson, Ramona Jackson-Jones. Do we have any other questions from anyone here? You can just come off of mute. You don't have to take the time to type it in the chat. We just want to make sure that we're able to support you all with this small group that we have here. Any quick questions that we could get answered for you, please? You're welcome to come off of mute.
Okay, you're on mute.
He's on mute.
I didn't have a question. I don't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you
Sure.
to both you all for coming out and taking time away from your busy schedules to share this timely and relevant information with our membership.
Happy to help, sir.
Thank you.
what we'll do, we're going to move, we just went through my questions. We're gonna go quickly to first thank yous for from Global Media Connection, both Jim as well as Sonia. Thank you so much again, just like Commissioner Aronson shared. Thank you for taking the time to join our group. Very insightful information. Want to make sure that our members know how to reach out to you. If you'll be kind to drop your information in the chat, we'll
Sure.
also continue to share on our newsletter, in our newsletter that goes out weekly, so that we could ensure that our members have access to great information and they're able to utilize the services that you provide.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
We'll do it.
So I also want to share with our members here on the call, please look for a follow-up email within 24 hours, just a quick survey just to get feedback from today's session. Also want to make sure that you are aware of some upcoming activities that we have, including our president's reception that's scheduled for December 7th at the retreat is owned by the Gathering Spot. That event will take place starting at 6 p.m. We are working on a legislative day for January. We're waiting to hear back from our state representative, one of our state representatives about that date. We're hoping that it'll be the latter part of January. We are looking at a Monday just to ensure that we are able to support our GABCO members throughout the entire state who will be traveling here to Metro Atlanta area. I also want to remind everyone about membership dues. There's $200. You can go online at gabcoonline.org and make those payments. Also, we're looking for ongoing sponsorship, so that information is online as well. And then we will continue to bring forth additional lunch and learns. We have our LinkedIn lunch and learn that's scheduled for January. That date is TBD. We're just going to schedule our legislative day first before we then ink in that date for the lunch and learn. So we have some AI lunch and learns coming up, LinkedIn. We also are looking at putting together a partnership for a gubernatorial forum. So we have a number of events lined up for 2026 that we're super excited about. We want to thank you for taking time to come out today. We're going to have our president, Commissioner Arrington, just close us out if there's any last words. Commissioner Aronson.
Yes, I would just say thank you again to everyone for taking time out of their schedule, certainly to our presenters, but also to our members and attendees, right? We could have the presenters here, but if we didn't have anyone here to receive the information, it would not be beneficial. So hopefully everyone was able to learn some good information that they can use and implement in their counties and in their office. And thank you again to our presenters for the wealth of information that you presented today.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. And with that, our session today is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have an amazing day, and we will be in touch soon.
And thank you to our executive director for bringing us all together and keeping us organized and making everything go forward. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye now.